The room fell so quiet that even the hum of the old piano sounded loud. A man who was used to applause, power, and people laughing at his jokes stood frozen, his confident smile slipping away. A small girl sat on the piano bench, her feet barely touching the floor, her fingers trembling. What began as a careless joke was suddenly turning into something no one expected. If stories about unexpected kindness and moments that change lives move you, take a second to subscribe to Kindness Tales. We'd love for you to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments as the story unfolds, because stories like this are better when felt together. The man's name was well known in the city. He was a self-made millionaire who owned several tech companies, the kind of person whose face appeared in business magazines and local charity galas. He lived in a glass and steel mansion overlooking the hills, drove cars that cost more than most homes, and spoke with the easy confidence of someone who had never been told no for very long. People admired him, some envied him, and many were careful around him, laughing a little too loudly at his jokes. That evening, he was attending a fundraising event at a community arts center downtown. It was supposed to be a relaxed night, a mix of donors, local artists and families. Wine glasses clinked, soft music played, and conversations floated through the large hall. He didn't really want to be there. He had come because his assistant insisted it was good for his image. He stood near the back, scrolling through his phone, half listening to speeches about art programs and music lessons for underprivileged kids. That was when he noticed the girl. She couldn't have been more than 10 years old. She wore a simple dress that looked slightly too big, as if it had been borrowed or handed down. Her hair was neatly brushed but tied with a worn ribbon. She stood near an old upright piano placed in the corner of the room, watching people with wide, observant eyes. While others chatted and laughed, she seemed to exist in her own quiet bubble. Someone nearby mentioned that the piano was open for anyone who wanted to play. It was meant to be a fun, informal part of the evening. A few adults joked about it, but no one actually sat down. Then the girl stepped forward. She hesitated, glancing around as if asking for permission without words. When no one stopped her, she climbed onto the bench. The millionaire watched with mild amusement. He leaned toward a friend and made a comment, under his breath, about how brave kids could be when they didn't know better. His friend shrugged, more interested in his drink. The girl lifted her hands and then froze. The room was still loud with conversation, and a few people glanced over, smiling politely. She pressed a single key. The note rang out, thin and uncertain. Someone chuckled softly. The millionaire felt a spark of mischief rise in him, the kind that had often earned him laughs in boardrooms and bars. Loud enough for those nearby to hear, he said with a grin, "Go on, play something impressive, and maybe I'll adopt you." A ripple of laughter moved through the small group around him. To him, it was harmless, just a joke. He didn't even look directly at the girl when he said it, but she heard him. Her shoulders stiffened for a moment. Slowly she turned her head and looked at him. There was no anger in her eyes, no embarrassment, just a calm, steady look that seemed far too old for her age. She nodded once, almost to herself, and turned back to the piano. What no one in that room knew was that music was the one place where her world made sense. She lived with her mother in a small apartment across town, the kind with thin walls and a heater that rattled all winter. Her mother worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices at night and serving tables during the day. The girl spent many afternoons alone, doing homework at the kitchen table and practicing on a battered keyboard. A neighbor had given them when his own kids moved out. She had never had formal lessons. Everything she knew came from old library books, free online videos, and hours of patient trial and error. Music was how she escaped. The worry she tried not to show when her mom came home exhausted. It was how she expressed feelings she didn't have words for yet. Back at the art center, she took a deep breath. Her fingers settled on the keys, no longer trembling. She began to play. At first, the sound was gentle, almost hesitant. A simple melody floated into the air, weaving between conversations. People kept talking for a few seconds, then one by one, voices faded, heads turned. The melody grew richer, deeper, filled with a quiet emotion that didn't belong to a child who had barely reached the pedals. The millionaire straightened without realizing it. His phone slipped into his pocket. Something about the music pulled at him, tugging at a place he usually kept locked away. The notes weren't flashy or fast. They were honest. Each one seemed carefully chosen, as if she were telling a story without words. The room grew silent. Even the waitstaff paused. The girl's face was focused, her brow slightly furrowed, her body swaying just a little with the rhythm. Her fingers moved with confidence now, dancing across the keys, building toward something that made hearts ache. For the first time in years, the millionaire felt his throat tighten. Memories rose up uninvited. A small house where he grew up, a piano his own mother used to play late at night after long shifts. The way he used to sit on the stairs and listen, feeling safe for those few minutes. He hadn't thought about that in decades. When the final note faded, it lingered in the air like a held breath. No one clapped right away. The silence was heavy, reverent. Then applause erupted, louder and more genuine than anything that evening had received. The girl stood up quickly, almost startled by the reaction. She gave a small, shy bow, her cheeks flushed. Her eyes flicked toward the millionaire for just a second. Not accusing, not proud, just curious. He couldn't move. He felt exposed, as if everyone could see straight through him. The joke he had made echoed in his mind, ugly and careless. People around him were wiping their eyes, murmuring about how incredible it was, how talented she must be. He finally stepped forward. The crowd parted instinctively. He knelt in front of her so they were eye level, something he rarely did with anyone. His voice, when he spoke, was quieter than anyone expected. He told her that what she played was beautiful, that it took courage to sit down and share something like that. He apologized for what he had said earlier, admitting it was thoughtless. She listened seriously, then nodded. She said softly that it was okay. She liked playing for people, even when they laughed at first. It just meant she had to play better. That night didn't end with dramatic announcements or instant miracles, but something had shifted. The millionaire stayed until the end of the event, speaking with the organizers, asking questions he had never bothered to ask before. Before he left, he made sure to find the girl and her mother. He learned about their life, about the keyboard with missing keys, about the girl's dream of one day playing on a real stage. In the weeks that followed, changes rippled outward. The Arts Center received an anonymous donation large, enough to replace old instruments and offer free lessons to kids who couldn't afford them. A local music teacher volunteered extra hours. The girl found herself sitting at a real piano twice a week, her confidence growing along with her skill. As for the millionaire, people noticed differences too. He still ran his companies, still attended meetings, but something in him had softened. He started showing up to student recitals, sitting quietly in the back. He funded scholarships without attaching his name. He even bought a piano for his own home, letting the music fill rooms that had always felt too empty. Years later, he would say that a single careless joke had shown him a part of himself he didn't like, and a child's music had shown him the person he still wanted to be. The girl kept playing, not for applause or promises, but because music had always been her way of reaching people. And in doing so, she reminded everyone who heard her that kindness doesn't always arrive, wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes it sounds like a simple melody, played bravely by someone the world almost overlooked. Stories like this stay with us because they reflect a truth we often forget. Every person we meet carries unseen struggles and quiet strengths. A moment of mockery can cut deep, but a moment of humility and kindness can heal more than we imagine. The way we choose to act, especially when no one expects us to, can change lives in ways we may never fully see. If this story touched you, let it be a reminder to listen a little more closely, to speak a little more gently, and to never underestimate the power of encouragement. Share your own stories of kindness in the comments, because somewhere, someone is waiting for the chance to be seen, heard, and believed in.